This is the large oak tree stump in question here. It's about 3.5 feet in diameter at the cut. This is before I really did anything trying to remove the stump. And since this was taken, I've used my 4,000 psi pressure washer to cut through, I think, 5 large roots. That's in a previous video. I'll put a link at the back. But there was 2 massive roots at the back side of it that were just a bit much for the pressure washer. I mean, really large roots. I'll show you what those look like here in a second. I think I may have finally decided, even though I don't want to do it, that burning this thing out is going to be the best thing to do. Prove that you can use the pressure washer on the roots. I could, if I wanted to work at it enough, probably between the pressure washer and the chainsaw, cut through these other big roots here and push it over with the tractor. But I've decided I've had enough. I did consider the climate before burning this stump. These were my thoughts. Burning the stump entirely would rapidly convert the cellulose and lignin hydrocarbons into carbon dioxide and water vapor and some toxic burn products. Letting it rot and decompose naturally would result in methane and carbon dioxide. Methane is a more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. However, it would be a very slow release into the atmosphere over the many years it would take to degrade naturally. I did need the stump removed fairly quickly, so I decided partial burning, only enough to facilitate removal, would be my objective. In this area, we have to get a burn permit. I've already done that, say the fire risk should be low today. I did use my electric chainsaw to cut a V-type notch down towards the center of that to try and get the fire into the center of the stump. This is the chunk of wood, the wedge I cut out of that stump to provide a path for the fire to get back into the stump. This way I only need to make 3 cuts. Basically, one down that way from the top, one down this side, and then a horizontal cut at the bottom. And I was able to get this out. So it worked out pretty good. I'm going to save this for whatever. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try to use this pedestal fan and just burn it from this side, like kind of like a blast furnace. I'm going to get some more brush and stuff, or sticks and small logs, things like that, to help get this started. And I've got a propane brush burner to help get it going. And so I think that's all I really wanted to say about it. And I'll go get some more wood, get it in there, and get it started, and we'll see how it does. This is a time lapse showing how I started out with a pedestal fan standing up. That didn't work real well, blowing smoke everywhere. I laid it down on its side. I'd already used the propane burner to get it started, using my leaf blower to help out. And so that's what this is. The thing that I was most concerned about, smoke, it turned out to be a real problem because the wind is blowing hard and it changes directions. One of the things I wanted to point out is the fire's over on the other side. So how this side starts smoldering. I don't remember seeing any of the flames come around here, but I guess they could have. Need to get it burning down inside, so it's just kind of like a furnace down there. I kept adding some sticks, needed to find dry wood, and just trying to add to the fuel to it to help it burn, especially down in that notch I cut, that wedge shape. Not having much success doing this with that pedestal fan like that. I angled it to get it to blow the smoke up, but that didn't work either. This is a time lapse showing me using my cobalt leaf blower to help the fire along. It did really help. I couldn't stand there constantly and do it. It'd get really hot, and so just kept working at it, see what I could do with it, and trying to do it this way. The wind changing directions was a huge problem for me. It's pretty breezy, kept blowing it in my face no matter which way I went. This is a thermal infrared I took of the stump as I was trying to burn it. Looks like it's maybe nighttime, but it's actually middle of the day. Still have the pedestal fan there laying on its side. I'm using my FLIR 1 thermal infrared attachment for my iPhone, and works really good. This is in degrees Celsius. Of course, these images are really good for comparing cooler to warmer spots, not necessarily the actual accurate temperature. So, but this does show the relative hot spots while it was burning. For those of you wondering what this FLIR 1 Pro looks like, I was using to take the infrareds. This is the scene from inside my office. I'm just showing you what it looks like. It's plugged in there on the right hand side, and the lenses for the FLIR 1 Pro infrared camera there on the right. You can see the camera sensors down there on the bottom right. It's set up for multispectral now, which means it combines the infrared plus a visual image. This is that hot spot on the left is my modem that I use to get my internet, and to the right is a printer. You can see the modem's running warm, and that shows up. So that's what this looks like. This is what I use to take those infrared images of the stump on fire. This is so-called high spectral dynamic imaging, which is interesting. I haven't used this before. Looks like it's kind of a mixture of visible and infrared. This multispectral mode is great for helping identify exact spots on what you're imaging versus just plain thermal. I didn't know I had that high-speed fan there. It's been a while since I used it. All of a sudden I remembered it. That thing works a lot better than that pedestal fan. Much higher velocity air. This is another time lapse showing how effective this air mover was. It normally comes with a large diameter vinyl duct, which I have, but didn't need it here. We used it in the house for getting rid of sanding dust when we were redoing the floors. But as you can see, it really accelerates the burning of that stump. You can see it in that gap that I cut. It's 6:24 Friday evening. It's been about 9 hours since I started this burn project. Made some progress. A little hard to see down there behind the that log I put in there. But since don't want a bunch of smoke all night, so this seems to be the most minimal way to leave it to prevent too much smoke. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and put my FLIR infrared attachment on here and see what that stump looks like with that. Okay, it's close to 6:30 Friday evening. There's quite a few hot spots there. So I'm just going to leave it. I think it should be safe all night. Let's see what's around this side. This is my Ring floodlight camera on the metal building, a night vision image of the stump in the evening. As you can see, you see a little bright spot there in the stump. It obviously does not look anything at all like those thermal infrared images. That's because These night vision ring cameras provide their own infrared lights, a different wavelength than the thermal infrared this other camera normally uses. So I just wanted to show that so you can see what that looked like in the comparison between this infrared image and the thermal infrared. Okay, it's about almost 1 o'clock. Saturday, day after I started this project. I just let it set overnight. Didn't blow any air on it or anything. You can see a couple hot spots there. And looks like smoke coming out of some of these openings over here. You can see definitely a hot spot under the roots, so it's starting to burn through. What I really need to do is burn through these massive roots on this side. Still hot on top. So what I'm going to do is pile some wood down here on this side, try to burn through these big roots so I can push this over with the tractor. So I got a bunch of wood here. We had an older Echo leaf blower, which I just set out there, really speeded up the burning. Okay, this is heading into the second day of this project. You can see I had to add some miscellaneous dry wood, scrap wood that I had around. Unfortunately, most of our scrap wood was wet, so I had a limited amount of it even on all this property. But it really does help to burn the whole stump by adding that extra wood. Well, what's interesting is how effectively this got it burning underneath the stump. Looked like a giant pizza oven down in there, and which is good. My objective was not so much to burn up the stump completely, just to burn enough of it to be able to either finish cutting it up or knock it down with the tractor and haul it off. So as you can see, really burning underneath it. And so that was, I thought, very interesting how effectively it burned down all this miscellaneous roots underneath that I couldn't see. It was becoming obvious to me, even though this fan was really burning up the excess wood that I put there, that stump was so massive that it was just going to take a lot longer than I was willing to do to burn the whole thing up. It's about 6:30 in the evening on day 2 of this stump burning project. I quit about 3 o'clock this afternoon. I just got tired and had enough of it, just letting it sit. It's not creating a huge amount of smoke. So I decided I'll just let it burn, turn the fans off. Main thing I'm trying to do is let it burn through these massive roots on this side. That's what's keeping me from pushing it over with the tractor. So if enough of the base can get burned up, it's just totally hollow down there inside. And maybe I can push it over with the tractor if enough of it gets burned up. Don't have to have it all burned down to nothing. I'm going to take a look at it with the infrared camera, see what that looks like. Okay, this is, I guess I started this Friday morning. This is Saturday morning, this is Monday morning. Still got some hot spots. I haven't really touched this to speak of since Saturday. This part right here is burning. That big giant root that was down there is burned up. So this one's partially burned up. I think I might be able to push this thing over with my tractor now. So my objective is not to burn this. My objective was to use burning as a way to help remove it. So if I can break it off with the tractor and haul it away after dousing it with water, that's what I'm going to do. All right, I've burned up as much as I'm going to. We're tired of smelling smoke. The only major root left is this one here. It's huge, but it's partially burnt through. So maybe we can break it free with that tractor up there. And all these roots were cut with the pressure washer, except for that one. So we'll see how it goes. It's amazing just how well that one big root back there now is all that's left, is holding that stump in place. It's amazing how strong these big roots are. And of course, that root is right down there. It's the size of a big oak tree. So what I'm going to do is scatter these logs out of the way and use my chainsaw to cut through that, and then I should be able to get it. Just be kind of a stinking mess while I do it. This is actually still hot. We'll see how it does. Well, I cut a pretty good sized chunk out of that big massive root with the chainsaw. I'm going to see if I can break it off with the tractor now. Tractor's a lot easier. Oh, this is what this monster looks like underneath it. Now what I'm going to do is hose it down really good until I'm sure all the fire's out. I'm going to fill in this hole with dirt I'm digging out from underneath the house. So, enough of this story. Glad this one's done. I really didn't like burning it, but that did help finish the job without spending extra money over what I already had here. So that was one of my goals. Luckily I had the tractor and a chainsaw and some stuff, but didn't have to buy anything else or hire anybody to do it. Now getting ready to haul this thing across the creek if I can make it down this hill, okay? One more big stump. 2,500 pound loader, and it's all I could do to pick it up. and it's half burned up.